Ever noticed how some activity instructors never seem rushed? Watch the rest of this video to find out one way in which they save time and how you can too. In this video, I'm going to give you a tool to give you more time in your activity sessions so that you can provide more value to those that you work with. Hi, my name's Niall. I've been an outdoor activity instructor for over a decade now, and welcome to Instructor 101. Before we go any further, make sure to hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on future content. So there are loads of ways that we can save time as outdoor activity instructors. So things like planning ahead, having things set up ahead of schedule, utilizing your group to help you out, many hands make light work, and things like just having experience, and that just comes with time. What I'd like to focus on in this video is how you introduce a session and how to make that introduction as short as possible. Now, I know far too well that it's easy to get carried away with an introduction. There's lots of stuff to cover, so things like new terminology which a client might not be familiar with, new skills to teach, so maybe belaying, how to use ropes or paddling, and on top of that, there's all the safety stuff as well. All that, and you haven't even started the activity yet. And yes, before I get loads of comments, I see the irony in me taking loads of time laying out an introduction now, even though that's exactly what this video is about not doing. Anyway, back to the point. We still need to think about how we can reduce what we say while still putting across the key information. So let's take an archery taster session for a moment. So when clients come along, what they care about is doing archery and spend less time on the briefing. They want to keep safe, but also be able to hit the target. That's the stuff that they care about, and that's pretty much what we care about as well, so they get more time to have more goes at things. So we need to consider what information that we're putting across. Do we need to point out every technical little bit of a bow and arrow for them to be able to shoot an arrow? Probably not. So instead of just saying that this point of the arrow is actually called a pile, that stuff might not necessarily be critical for them to be able to do the session. It's nice to be able to drip feed little bits of information, like the handle is called the riser and stuff like that, and the history. That's great, and that does add value, but let's drip feed that information so that they can get onto shooting those arrows sooner, and then you can add those little technical little bits a bit later on. Another example might be an intro to paddling. So when we're canoeing, do we need to spend loads and loads of time on how to hold a paddle? For some groups maybe, but not all of them. For some of them it's pretty obvious that the blade, the big fat bit, goes in the water. So we don't need to spend time going, okay, make sure your paddle is this way up rather than this way up. It doesn't really make sense. And you know what? If someone gets it wrong, you know what? It's funny. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, with any of these little bits, even if they're holding the blade back to front or that sort of stuff, you can coach that stuff later on. So get on to the session and then add it as coaching points throughout the session, so you're drip feeding that information when they're ready for it. And they're going to learn just as much by getting on the water and practicing it instead. If this is making sense so far, then let me know by typing 101 into the comments down below. A great tool to help out instructors save even more time is to try and do parts of the session without speaking at all. That way, in the long run, you work out which is the key information that you need to put across and what you can get away without saying. Things like belaying, paddling, or shooting an arrow, they can all be done silently if you think about it. So it sounds weird, I know, but it's a great tool, and it gets you to realize how much you can communicate without speaking at all. And on top of that, it grabs people's attention. It's amazing how powerful silence can be. And it can be quite funny as well, so to really hold people's attention, you can make it quite slapstick as well if that suits your character and personality. So you could think black and white silent movie. And before we go any further, it's worth pointing out that there are times when voice is best. Think safety. And depending on who you're working for, you need to remember that in their operating procedures and their risk assessments that you need to cover certain bits of information. So make sure you do that. I don't want you to end up getting in trouble. I need to keep people safe still. And I don't want you to start blaming Instructor 101 for doing these crazy weird things, which are then putting people in danger. Keep people safe, make sure you do your job. But let's think about how we can communicate in fun, different and engaging ways, and hopefully ways that save time. So by shortening your intros, you'll buy yourself more time, which means that you can get onto the activities quicker, and that's what the clients want as well. Just because your intros are shorter doesn't mean that you can't provide the same amount of info, if not more. It might just mean that you start drip feeding that information instead throughout the session when it's appropriate. It'd be great to hear your thoughts on this, as well as any other ideas that you might have on this. So have you ever led any of your sessions or parts of your sessions completely silently? Also, have you just been forced to do it just because you might have lost your voice for some reason? Then yeah, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out on future content from Instructor 101. In the meantime, make sure to check out my other useful videos for outdoor activity instructors, and also head over to Facebook to find other great resources. Other than that, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, take care.